Namaskar, I am back again and today with a new video tutorial. Today's video tutorial is on a somewhat different topic. Today I would show you how to set up Quantum ESPRESSO on your Linux system, and this is because for most of the scientific computing requirements we will be dealing with the Linux platform, and if you, for example, are working with a HPC cluster or any other supercomputing facilities, so most likely your terminal will have a Linux operating system. Now, among the various distributions of Linux, I think Ubuntu is a very user-friendly version, and this Ubuntu distribution also comes in a number of variants, and I like to use in particular this UbuntuMATE. Sometimes it is called MATE. It is named after a South American plant. So this is where you can get this, UbuntuMATE.org, and you can download different releases. I presently have the 18.04 long-term support LTS edition installed, so you can see you can get different versions. So the LTS is the long-term support edition, and these are you can get regular updates for these for a long time. Like 18.04 is supported until April 2021, 20.04 until April 2023, and like that. So you can choose any other distribution if you like, but I find Ubuntu very user friendly. So what we will do now is just take a look at what are the basic softwares. Once we have the Linux operating system set up on our system, what are the basic softwares that we might require for our studies. For computational material science, with Quantum ESPRESSO, definitely you need the Espresso DFT calculation suite. For visualization, there is a tool called Jmol. It's a Java based visualization software. XCrysden, so it's the X Windows Crystal density program, sometimes it is called. So this is also another visualization tool. There are multiple free open source visualization tools available, so XCrysden is among them, and quite popular also. PWGui, which is a GUI based input generator for Espresso. So it gives you some basic functionalities of a GUI. You can create the .in file that is needed for your Quantum ESPRESSO simulations, and also there are some other tools that might come in handy, like Vesta. If you want to make post-processing surface plots, then Vesta might be very useful. GabEdit is another interesting tool, and this is useful for visualization. Also it has a very nice unit conversion tool, so sometimes from when you have to convert different units of energy or frequency or this kind of things in material science, you can use this GabEdit. Now there are a number of ways in which we can install Quantum ESPRESSO on our Linux system, and especially I'm going to show you how to do it on this Ubuntu system. So there are two primary ways. First is to get it from the repository with the package manager. So this is the command sudo apt-get install quantum-espresso. So what it does is you have this package manager built in with Ubuntu, and the advantage of this method is that it downloads all the necessary repositories and associated libraries that need to be linked with the distribution automatically. So sudo apt-get install Quantum ESPRESSO, and you have to put your password. So this will give you a question whether you want to continue or not. So yes, I do want to install this, so I'll go ahead. And what it is doing is actually it is first checking all the dependencies this package has, and then from the repository it is downloading and installing. So now we have installed, as you can see, the Espresso installation has completed. So if it is running or not, we can just check. I will open another terminal, and pw.x is the input command for Espresso to start the Quantum ESPRESSO engine. So I'll just check if it has installed. Indeed, it has installed correctly, and you see it is PWSCF, that is the name of the PWSCF module of Quantum ESPRESSO, version 6.0. So I'm not going to run this because I don't have any input file ready yet, because this is only to show you the installation. The purpose of this tutorial is that. So I'm not going to run any simulations today. So this is how you can get it directly from the repository. But the fact is, we are getting this version 6.0. Now, as you might be knowing that once the Ubuntu repositories and linked libraries on the mirror sites, they are updated, so that is done only after a lot of testing and simulations being run on these systems, and the developers need to check whether the distribution is correctly operating with the version of operating system, that is the Ubuntu version you have. So it goes through a lot of scrutiny before it gets finally uploaded in the repository. And so for some reason the latest release of scientific softwares like Espresso in this case, that gets delayed to come into the repository. So from the repository what we are getting is the Espresso 6.5, but if you go to the home website of the Quantum ESPRESSO software, so there you can find in the download, so this is the download link, and we go to the GitHub page for Espresso, and there you see that the latest version is not 6.0 but rather 6.5. So what we need to do is we want to use the latest version, right? So most of the times you would be looking to use the latest version. So but for that you need to download the source code and compile it by yourself. So I will show that also. This requires a little more effort because this Ubuntu package manager is not going to itself query all the dependencies and all these things, but you have to do it yourself. You have to have all the necessary libraries and all these things set up properly on your system. So I have written down what are the necessary things for this kind of installation, and these are the commands that you will be needing. These certain modules and libraries like make and FFTW libraries, developer libraries, BLAS developer libraries, and all these things. In case there is a G-Fortran library is not installed in the system, that also needs to be installed. So you have to check what you have right there in your system and what more packages you might need. But for that, first we need to download this source code. So I download this zip file. Okay, and I already have downloaded it here. So I will just copy this to my home directory because this is where I want to install. You can install in some other location as well. So I open the terminal, and there first I need to unzip this one. I will extract the files here. You can right click and just put extract here. So you see it has created a folder QE 6.5, and I'm going to go to that folder. So here I can show you that there is a executable called configure. So what configure does is it reads all the environmental variables. So what kind of system you have, what architecture you're using, what are the libraries you have installed. So it will automatically try and detect and let you know if everything is there or something is missing. So we will run the configure tool. So it is looking into the system, and you can see that it has these are the very important 3 libraries it looks for. So it needs the BLAST library, the LAPACK library, which is it has already found, and the FFT libraries. Now how to get these libraries? Well, you have these commands. So it may not show you right there, but always it is better to have to check whether you have the latest installation of make in your system. So let's close this one. So what I will do is I will first get this sudo apt get So the reason why I need to do sudo in Ubuntu every time, because I'm using the user account, and it is best to use the user account rather than the do it from the root account always, because that prevents in messing up the system if you are a new user. And this is how basically Ubuntu works. You are always treated as an user, and you know the root password, but that is only required when you have to do something with administrator privileges. So it's quite user friendly, and it's quite foolproof. Okay, so I have installed make, and now I need to get these libraries. So I'll try and get the LIBBLAS, and if you put a tab, it can show you the options, the libraries that are available in the repository. So you just put libblast3, so basically it downloads. So it has downloaded. Also make sure to get the developer library, because sometimes without the developer library some modules are missing, and the latest versions of the software need them to properly function. So more or less we now have all the libraries, I think, and now I will run configure again, and as you can see, now we have all the libraries linked that we need. LBLAS, LFFTW, these are the dynamic linking of the libraries it is showing. So Espresso has everything it needs. It can find all the variables, and this is a line configure success, but always make sure you have all these libraries available. So we have done that, and now we will do just type make all, and it will compile Quantum ESPRESSO on your system. You can simultaneously have 2 different versions, but then you have to know where exactly your different versions are installed. Like if you are installing right from using the package manager, so that creates does create a link to that executable in your bash, in the bash file, and you don't need to do anything. You don't need to point to the exact path, so it is available in the system environment. But if you're using a different distribution, different version of the software, like we are trying to install 6.5 right here, so we will need to point to that particular directory where it is installed at the time of running the software once it gets installed. So as you can see, it is compiling the code from the source to be used on your system, and it is making use of the libraries and Fortran and all these things. It is compiling the executables for you to use on your local system according to the kind of setup, kind of architecture you have. So already when we ran configure, it read all that architecture. It created a make file of its own automatically. So that is the very big advantage of this kind of installation. And then you can just make all, and now it is compiling the code, so it takes a little bit of time. So while it is compiling the code, I can get some other I will try and get some other tools as well. To get Jmol is also very simple. What we really need to do is sudo apt get install Jmol, and Jmol is basically available in the repository, so it will just download and automatically install. It's done. The same for XCrysden, and XCrysden is also available in the repository. So most of these softwares are very popular and commonly used, so they are usually already installed there, already available in the repository. Pardon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how this looks like. So you see this Jmol viewer is installed. Sometimes when you need to type something, some executable or some program name, like for example XCrysden, if it is installed on your system, you just type few of the first characters and then you put a tab and it shows the available name. So it sometimes saves a bit of time for typing. So this is another of the softwares that we would be using. This is a visualization tool, very useful. PWGui you can download. I already have it installed on my system, so I'm not going to do it over again, but PWGui is available on this website. You can Google it and you can just go to download, and there you will find a number of options. The best option is to have the self-contained standalone executables, because that has all the libraries that are necessary for this PWGui to work, and you just need to download that and then unzip that in the location where you want to have it. Like I have already done it, so it will give you, you can put it in a folder and you can extract it, so it will give you the executable. You can double click on the executable to run PWGui. So just by extracting you can get the PWGui executable. I'll be showing you later on how to use these things to create input files and analyze Quantum ESPRESSO inputs and outputs. So it is still compiling the 6.5 version, so it takes a little bit of time. So with PWGui, I will just show you around a little bit of that while this Espresso code still compiles. So you can, this is the new PWX input. This is what you usually have to do most of the times, because you will do in case of Quantum ESPRESSO for any meaningful calculation. First you do the SCF calculation, the self-consistent field. So for that you need this pw.x input. You have to create this input, and in there are different options available, like we had done previously the bands calculation. So the ionic relaxation with variable cell, all these options are there. Molecular dynamics with variable cell. So we can select the kind of simulation we are going to run. Then we can set this maximum CPU time in seconds. Restart mode can be from scratch or from a previous interrupted run, and all these things are interesting. And there is a possibility to make a single restart file wf_collect. So that for some simulations, some post processing, you would need to check that at yes. For others you may not. Mind it that turning on this flag wf_collect, this will increase the size of your output files quite significantly. So do it only when you need it, and you can choose the output directories, IO names, and many things. So we will as we progress, we will just go on to show all these different aspects, all these different things. So there are many options, various options there, and you see this is the AND control. So if you look at a input of a Quantum ESPRESSO file, I will just write down pw.x input. You can go to this Google this website. This is actually user manual, online user manual of Quantum ESPRESSO, and there you can see a lot of things written over there. So these are different cards and flags of the input file, how it should be. So there are different blocks, right? And control, and system, and electrons. So under the control block, these different variables come in. Under the system block, several of these different flags, all these are flags you need to set. So all these things come in, and in the AND system block you have something called DFT type, total charge, starting charge, magnetization, so many things are there. Input DFT. So this is where you can set the different exchange correlation functional, as I was talking in my previous lecture. So there you have, like, you can set PBE, BLYP, and lot of different kind of DFTs. So in modules, function.f90, this can give you the allowed values, different allowed values. So we will discuss about these different exchange correlation functionals that are available to use with Espresso. But right now we wait for the compilation to complete. So you can see the installation has completed, and we can just check now. We can go to the file where our executables are in this directory bin, newly compiled executables, and /pw.x just to see which version it is. So it is 6.5. So we have successfully installed Espresso 6.5 on this system. We already have showed you in the beginning that we can download the Espresso directly using the package manager and get it installed. And this is another way of setting up and compiling to the latest version. So simulations and how to use the code from Linux system with your terminal inputs and all these things we will discuss later on in our upcoming video lectures. So that's it for today. Thank you for your patience and support, and please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. See you again. Take care.